Hello and welcome to a very special midweek Modern Toyfare reviews. Today I'm going to be taking a look at something that kind of caught us all off guard when it surprise dropped and started showing up at Targets, the Neca Ultimate Android Body Krang. If you managed to already pick up this figure or if you're still hunting for it, let me know down in the comments below and let's get started. Alright, first we're going to take a look at how the figure turned out. As you can see, it does have the antenna there at the top. You actually get two of those in the package. And then you do have his eyebrows that are molded on, you've got his visor, you've got his mouth and hline, his jawline, and then it looks like some rolls there. And then if we move on down to the chest, you'll notice he has his little like metal suspenders, the rubber shoulder plates, some vents on his chest. You've got all of the yellow here for Krang's little like housing. You can see it's got some sculpt in there and some painted black lines. Then if we move over to the arms, they're pretty much smooth. You've got a little bit of muscle in there, but nothing crazy. You see I got a little paint chip there, which is kind of depressing, but it's not super noticeable. You do have the bright red hands. The rest one is just kind of like basic like spread open fingers that comes on it in the box. You've got his wristbands, a little bit of deco there. Moving down, we do have his like red diaper. It is kind of a softer plastic, so it doesn't hinder his articulation too much. On the legs, you do have some molding there with like his knee, and in the folds around it, you've got his little boots. And then on the side of the legs, you do have some detailing in there with black lines and stuff to kind of make him look like an android. And then if we move up here, I'm going to show you, much like most of the other tuned figures in the line, does have that kind of darker shading on the back of the figure. So you'll notice a little bit better, it's like a darker tan instead of the lighter. And then if we look up here, you do have some rolls on the back of his head, rolls on his shoulders, a vent, got the backs of his suspenders, got some wrinkles on the elbows molded in, which looks really nice. And then the back of his little housing, you've got all these little black lines showing detail and some screws and little handlebar. Got his charging port. And then back of the legs are pretty plain, but like I said, they're darker tan than the front. Overall, just visually, they knocked this one out of the park. It looks absolutely incredible. Alright, next up is articulation. So he is significantly easier to move than most figures from the NECA lines. Head does go side to side, left and right. You do have a little bit of up and then quite a bit down, which is great because he is a larger figure, so you want to be able to look down at the other characters. You do have the antenna. It is removable, so if you want to put the towel on his head or if something happens and it breaks, there's a second one. The waist does have a little bit of swivel, nothing crazy though, because it's a little hindered by articulation. No ab crunch or anything, it is one solid piece. Arm does go out about 90 degrees. You do get pretty much 360 degrees front and back. However, it is hindered by the rubber shoulder pad, but you can still get quite a bit of range each direction. So I'm still happy with it. The elbows do swivel along with the actual joint articulation. Not quite 90 degrees, but he's a little bit larger, so his sculpt kind of hinders it a little bit. The wrist peg, it's pretty standard for NECA, and if you can kind of twist it around, you can make it go backwards and pretty far forwards. Forwards a little more hindered just because with the way positioning of his thumb there and where the wrist sits. And then legs, not a whole lot to the side. It does have a little bit of a swivel at the hip though, and then you can kind of maneuver it and you can get quite a bit forward. Not a whole lot back though. It does go a little bit, but then we got the double jointed knee and of course the ankle, which does go pretty far forward and backward. It does have a little bit of a swivel on the hinge, but not a lot. So you can kind of pose him in different positions, but for the most part, he's a little too heavy for that minimum of a swivel. Another thing is the little joysticks in here. they actually move, which is really cool. It makes it easier for when you're posing Krang inside the body, but also just kind of a neat little addition that they added. One thing I do want to add is you can't put Krang straight through there. So what you have to do is you have to kind of squeeze him in the front and back, pop the top off, and then you grab your Krang and you get him in there, get the joysticks in his little tentacles, and he does have a peg that he just kind of pops down on. And now he's now safe and secure. So really cool the way they did that. Alright, so I want to take a quick second to show off the new version of Krang. As you can see, it is a newer sculpt. You've got that kind of spine going through there. Got all the different texture sculpted in. You've got his little dangly goatee. You've got the newer style tentacles to wrap around the joysticks and the android. On the back, you have more kind of sculpted in lobes. Bottom does have some shading there. And of course, you do have more on the other side as well. Some black lines kind of give it a little more texture. Compared to the original one that we got, this one's significantly bigger. He's a lot more bright pink instead of pale. The old one does have his mouth open. I will say, personally, I like the newer one better. Alright, next up is the accessories. We're going to start off with some hands. We do have these kind of like slightly open fist hands. You can use these either for punching, or it does have a little bit of a hole in there, so you can kind of have him hold some of the accessories, like the turtle's weapons. I will say it is a very tight fit, so be very careful not to break any of the weapons trying to get them in there. Next up we have these kind of open grappling hands. You can use these either to grab onto the turtles or hold them up in the air. Multiple different things. I've posed them a few different ways already. Really kind of cool to add those in. And then we do have some weapons. So first up are these blasters. You have one for both the left and right hand. They just pop right out into the peg hole. Some cool little detailing sculpt on there. Then we also have this buzzsaw, just some really cool colors and sculpt, and then it actually moves, which is kind of a neat little thing they didn't need to do, but I kind of like that they added a little cherry on top. And then next we do have his kind of battle axe. It does have some really nice sculpts, that kind of shiny metallic paint to it. Really like how that turned out. And now we have probably my favorite accessory, the mace. So you get two of these. The chain is actually like a little bit of aluminum, so it's kind of got some give to it. Got all the spikes on it. It just kind of plugs in. It hangs real nice. I wish I would have gotten one that maybe was stiff, so it's easier to pose them, but I kind of like that it's just a chain. Next we have his little life alert necklace. I don't recall what this is, so it's life alert necklace now. And then we've got his little towel that you can put on his head. It does have some sculpt on the top. And then an itty bitty little hole you can fit his antenna through. So it kind of holds it on there. And this one I didn't realize they were giving us. Apparently I missed it. You got a towel. Granted, it's just a piece of felt. It's still like really cool. And I like the fact that I can fold it up and wrap it around him. And then everyone's favorite, Baby Shredder. So he does have a little bit of articulation. His arms do have kind of up, down, left, right. Head does tilt a little bit on a ball joint. He does have articulation in the middle. I heated mine up and it still won't move, so I'm not going to bother with it. So be very careful when you get yours out of the box. I don't want to see anyone break their Baby Shredder. Alright, real quick, I just want to take a second to do a little size comparison. So we've got Donatello, and you can see he's almost double the size of Donatello and the other turtles. Like that is incredible. He's massive. And then we've got the other single release Ultimate figure, which is Metalhead. And even him, he's about 2.5 inches shorter. Android Body Krang is a massive figure. Alright, last thing I want to take a quick look at is the box. So as you can see, it does have that beautiful artwork from the animation. It looks like it's a VHS tape. You have the NECA logo and the Nickelodeon logos down at the bottom there. You've got Ninja Turtles, Wrath of Krang, swinging around the side. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Wrath of Krang, in that old school animated style. Volume 2 at the bottom because it's the second figure. You've got that NECA logo at the top. Flipping it around the back. We've got more artwork from the cartoon. We've got some images of the different parts of the figure. I did just notice that I think you can put the bigger Krang in the walker. I might have to try that. Side, same as the other side. Volume 2 at the bottom. And then top just has the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles logo. And bottom is please don't put any of these parts in your mouth and choke to death. So overall, once again, they absolutely killed it with the box art on this figure. Alright, some quick final thoughts here. I think the figure looks absolutely amazing. They did a stellar job on Sculpt. Does have some paint issues, but that's pretty much how all figure lines are at this point. I will say he is very top heavy, so while you're at the store, make sure to pick up some of those NECA stands for displays, because I'd hate for your Krang to take a tumble off your shelf and potentially break. I've had some friends who've had some figures do that. It's not fun. Overall, articulation-wise, I feel like it's about what I expected for a figure his size. Didn't expect him to be in any crazy poses. So overall, I'm really happy with how this turned out. I'm glad I got it. I was able to find it. So if you haven't yet, keep checking. NECA is doing so much better. Metalhead only had 2 per store. With Krang, depending on the store, it's between 6 and 12. So keep looking. You'll hopefully find it, and don't feed the scalpers. But that's going to wrap it up for this week's video. As always, if you enjoyed it, please make sure to like and subscribe. Hit the little bell to get notifications when our videos go up. We have Modern Toyfare reviews on Mondays and Modern Toyfare news with me and Jamar on Fridays. If you want to support the channel, there's a little link below for tpublic.com. Takes you to our store. We have all sorts of different shirts and mugs, phone cases, pillows, all sorts of stuff with our logo on it, or just other designs that I've worked up in Photoshop. So feel free to give those a look. Also, make sure to check us out on social media. Twitter and Instagram are at Modern Toyfare. We do currently have a giveaway going on, so also check out Modern Toyfare news to hear more about that. Hopefully we'll see you next week, same toy time, same Toyfare channel. Thanks for watching.